Hey there, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about Google Ads for IV therapy and what bags or services that you should be actually advertising for. Right now, in this current moment, I run Google Ads for 5 IV therapy companies that are in 5 different states around the United States. And the thing that I see the most, and it kind of continues to happen, right, is because there are so many different types of bags, or services that IV therapy companies actually sell. And depending on the season, right, those change. So for summer, I see the most popular being hydration, for people traveling, being hungover, or just, the sun in general for older folks as well, just being dehydrated. More the younger people for the hangover, as I'm sure you can probably guess. And the location, means a big difference there too. Like one of my clients is in Miami, they see a ton of hangover. I have another client in Los Angeles, he sees more people just wanting hydration just for health benefits compared to more hangover. But when it comes to the season and what services to focus on, this can be kind of a hard question because let's say you have 10 different IV bags and you want to run Google ads, but let's say you have a budget that's anywhere from 1 to 3,000 or maybe 3 to 5,000 bucks a month. You don't want to be advertising for every single bag because you're going to be spread too thin. You're going to have a little bit to spend everywhere instead of having a lot of spend somewhere to be more effective, right? So you're thinking, which bags do I advertise for? And my advice with my experience is going to be advertise, what's the most popular right now. So for instance, right in fall and winter, I've seen a lot of clients talking to me about how their immune boost or their sickness or flu IVs, are really popular, like around fall time, around the winter time as well. But you have to do this correctly. So take that with a grain of salt, kind of put a pin in that. And then now think about this other thing I'm going to tell you too. So when I did research for my client most recently, because he just talked to me about this, he's like, hey, John, the hangover and hydration IV, times are kind of tapping out for this part of the year. We're getting into, mid-November. We see a lot of sickness IV, right? But on Google search, I don't see any trend or any volume for anyone looking up anything related to a sickness IV, flu IV, travel IV, immune boost IV. I don't see any of those things, right? And that doesn't mean that people don't actually want the cold flu sickness IV. It just means that they don't know what they're looking for. So the search term that we saw the most was still hydration IV, even though people were actually, booking for the immune boost one. So what we did is we didn't change any of our keywords to be towards those, towards those search terms that have no volume, but instead we kept it as hydration, but we just led people to an overall service page where they could choose what was best for them. And we put a really big emphasis on the sickness, cold, flu, immune boost IVs to bring people there. So just because people, are looking up something and buying something else, it just means that they just don't know what they want, right? Just because they look up one thing doesn't mean that's exactly what they want. They don't know the medical terms. They don't know what types of bags are like standard or that everyone has, right? So, if this would have been me a few years ago and I was feeling like, crap and I wanted to get an IV bag, I probably just would have looked up hydration too, because what I've heard just in general from everyone is that, oh, IV is hydration. Your body's getting fluids to rejuvenate you and give you electrolytes, so it's hydrating. So no matter what people are looking for, it kind of just comes back to, everything that they've heard and learned about the business and like what they think it is, right? So someone might be wanting a sickness IV, but they just have never heard of that, so they just look up hydration or they just look up IV therapy, and then they look at a selection and they choose, oh, okay, this one's for migraines, this fits me, or oh, these are for people with jet lag, this is perfect, okay, got it. But people aren't necessarily looking up those terms because they don't know the business as well as you. So again, long story short, to kind of recap this, is don't use keywords that have no search volume just because that's what people are buying, but instead go off of what people are searching for and then drive them and lead them to a landing page where they can choose what they want or just bring them to what they want, right? So just take an account that, people who are customers of anything in the health and wellness industry, they don't know the terminology as well as you do because you're the expert. So just bridge that gap and just don't try and force traffic.